Hey guys, Mark here from Mark's Whole Scale Trains. Wanted to do a video today on a new layout journey that I have embarked on late last year and throughout this year so far. I haven't posted a video in a long time, and that's just because of work, pretty demanding, and then of course just everyday life activities. Plus, I've noticed that there is a tremendous amount of content now on YouTube revolving around our hobby, which I think is fantastic. So I really haven't felt the need to post a video because there's so much on there to watch. And when I'm going through YouTube and I see all of your videos, I think it's pretty exciting to see how much is out there now and how much content is being uploaded on O Scale, because it means that our hobby is growing, the visibility is fantastic, and I'd like to see that to promote this hobby. So I'm doing a video today to show you something new for me. This is at my home. My existing layout that you see in some of my other videos, still at my parents' home. They're about 100 yards to my south in the backyard. So it's not that far from me, but I haven't had the time to go over there and do much to it. Plus, I knew that eventually I'd be taking some of that stuff and bringing it over here for the layout. So I had mentioned I started this last year. I did the bench work, still working on that, still doing some changes to that, but I pretty much have it where I want it now. And if I get a decent amount of likes, subscriptions, because I guess that's the YouTube algorithm, I don't know much about it, but if I get enough, I'll do more videos more frequently if folks are interested in seeing the progress of this layout over the years. I'd be happy to do that. As we all know, as any content provider knows, it takes quite a bit to do the videos, to edit, and to upload onto YouTube, especially when it's not necessarily your full-time job or something you do on a regular basis. I'm going to try to do very little editing, so if I stumble or say things that aren't right or don't make sense, you can forgive me for that. But I think maybe we'll start with, this is the west end of the layout, and maybe we'll start over here and just kind of take a quick tour with what I'm doing. I think I'll talk about the bench work first and a few other things, and then if there's a decent enough response, I'll continue with some videos. But we'll start now and kind of go from there. So starting here at the west end of the layout by the egress window, starting there, and then if we go to the other side, we're just about 50 foot from end to end. The first deck that you see here, the first part of the layout, this base is just about 7 feet from end to end. And I did that because standing on either end, I can reach into pretty close to the middle of this layout. And I didn't want to go 8 feet. It was just a little too much. So I chose 7 foot on this section here. And then on the wall section, against the wall, we're about 3 feet from the wall to the end of the layout. And this is considered an around the walls layout because I can access it from either end here as well as in the middle. So from the floor to the top of the foam, we're just at about 48 inches in the height. It's constructed all of 2x4s, OSB plywood, and 1/2 inch insulated foam. And I'll tell you why I use that in just a second. So I've done a lot of layouts over the years, and my whole thought process on this was I wanted to try to approach this from just a slightly different angle than what I've maybe thought of in the past or what others have done. And now, believe me, there is no right way. This is just what made sense to me. Now, I could have gone and ordered Homasote for the top of the deck instead of OSB. Homasote is a really pretty good sound deadening material, but my whole thought process behind that was with OSB, it's not very dense, and I knew I was going to put foam on top, and I do the foam on top for ground covers, digging into it, scenery, and it's also a pretty good sound deadening material itself. So with the OSB being cheap, the OSB is maybe $8, $9, $10 a sheet for a 4x8 sheet, where the Homasote would be probably close to $60 for a 4x8 sheet in my area. And then on top of that, Homasote is only a 1/2 inch, so I'd end up putting something on top of that as well. So I chose just to do the OSB and then the foam on top of that. The foam gets glued down, and then I have a nice base that I can carve into. I can, just do a little bit of digging here or there to make the scenery. And then, of course, adding on top of it is pretty easy. And it really is a pretty good sound deadening material. So I chose to do that. I did go a 2x4 construction. It is a pretty stout bench. I'd have no problem standing on top of this. I do have some braces in here, but it's really a pretty good solid base for what I'm doing. Now you might look at it and you might think automatically, it's kind of a little boring. You're gonna have just some oval tracks, but I do plan on doing down at the very far end. We'll have a mountain region down there with some tunnels. And then back over here by the egress, I'm gonna do the same thing where I will have tunnels and tunnel liners. It'll actually really look pretty nice once I get done with it. And it is possible that I will do a third layer, or I'm sorry, not a third layer, but a third, maybe a second deck, elevated, depending on where I end up. It's hard to say exactly. Right now, I've got 2 main lines. There will be 3 main lines, and in this area here on the OSB, once I have that foam, there is going to be a really pretty big yard. And I'm more about seeing the trains running. I'm not really fascinated by the multi-level. I really want to see the trains running and get as many trains going as I can without doing a lot of level changes and making it difficult that way. Being in my mid-50s, the last thing I want to do is really start climbing up on tables and under tables. I want to try to limit that as much as I can. So I'm also taking that into consideration when I'm building this layout. So another big topic of conversation I've had with folks, as well as sometimes controversial, is what track are you going to use? I had grown up using Atlas track. My layout at my folks' home is Atlas and Ross, but I've decided to go with another quality track, and that's Gargraves track. I have Gargraves maybe 2 hours in my backyard out of Rose, New York, so it takes me about 2 hours to get there. I can pick up the product directly from their store. Mike is an absolutely great guy at Gargraves, and their track is excellent quality product, and I really like the way it looks when it's weathered. One of my favorite features on the layout I have at my folks' home is the engine house, and I have Gargraves track going into the engine house, and when it's weathered, it just looks fantastic. It really does. Nothing wrong with Atlas, nothing wrong with some of the others that are out there. For the price, can't be beat. Now, I'm not constructing this layout based on price, but the cost of Gargraves track, and I am using Ross switches, by the way, but the cost of Gargraves track and the quality of it is without question, it's a no-brainer for me, and I've got a couple other guys that are working on layouts, and they ended up doing the same thing. So Gargraves and Ross is where it's at for me on this layout. I've got, you might not be able to see it behind those cars, but I've got a Ross crossover and a couple left-hand switches there. You can see the 2 main lines, and then there will be a third. Kind of right here in the center of the screen is where that nice long yard is going to be. And it's going to be a roll-through yard where I will have an 8-track Ross switch on one end, and then an 8-track Ross switch on the opposite end, where you can pull in and out on either side. So with that being said, that's pretty much what my plans are at this point. And going forward, I'm just going to make changes. I'm going to have a nice little engine house over in this area with a 4-way Ross switch there. But I plan on doing a lot here, and I'm pretty excited about where I'm going and what I'm going to be doing. But I think depending again on the response I get, if folks want to see the update, I'm happy to do that without question. But at this point, this is where I'm at, and this is what I've been doing and what I've been working on. And outside of that, let me think if there's anything else, and if there is, I'll I'll put it on video. So let me just jump off camera here for a second, and I'll take a look if there's anything else that I need to share. All right, maybe I will just walk you this way if I'm not tripping over this tripod, but down here, right below this cutting saw, is where I'm going to have the control station. I don't know if, let me see if I can, there you go. I can zoom out a little bit. So that's going to be the control station area. And I'm still working on that. And I'm still doing, I'm going to have another level with some shelving on it. And I'll be bringing all my stuff here. Of course, I've got the base 3 ordered. Who doesn't? But between the base 3 and then the new MTH system, I think I'll be set in regards to some digital control. In this area here, I am going to do a couple custom bridges. I'll have 3 tracks spanning over, 3 of the main lines spanning over here. And then down here will be a ravine, probably some sort of river scene are what my plans are. And then in this area here, this is going to be the duck under. I don't know what I'm doing here yet. I got to figure it out. Don't necessarily want to duck under this all the time if I do keep that as stationary, but I'll figure it out one way or another what I'm going to do. Lots of changes will happen over the months coming up, but yeah, this is kind of where I'm at, guys. So I'll leave it up to everybody. If you guys want to see more videos, I am happy to do it. I've got some followers now that I love to communicate with, and I think it's just an absolute fantastic hobby, although some of my friends bag on me about it because it's toy trains, which I laugh at. But all the same, I love this community. I love what we're doing here. I love what it takes in creativity to make these things work and look pretty good. So excited to see any of your comments, or if you're stopping by to say hello. If you don't mind liking and subscribing, that's really going to kind of tell me, yeah, post some more videos, Mark. We want to see what you're doing here. I'd be happy to do that. We do have a fantastic community here. Like a lot of the guys that I've met over the internet that I haven't met in person, but I'm happy to be part of this community. So at that point, I guess I'm just going to sign off, and if there's any questions, comments, suggestions, always happy to hear that too. But hopefully I'll see you guys here soon and in the next video. Take care.